Welcome, everyone, and welcome to this very special panel discussion. My name is Josh Levy. I am the founder and CEO of the Fitness Business Association and, of course, our Succeed family of virtual fitness conferences that we host 3 times a year and provide thousands of people, thousands of fitness professionals in the industry with education on all sorts of things to help you grow your business or get you further along in your career, wherever it is you may be right now. I'm delighted to be joined by 2 very successful people in the fitness industry who I'm going to have the pleasure of talking to for the next 40 or so minutes. We're going to discuss all things fitness related as far as how these 2 gentlemen really found success in the industry, how they were kind of in the trenches before, got to where they are now, and everything in between. So guys, let's jump into it. Why don't we go around the horn quickly and just introduce yourself and tell the audience a little bit more about what you do. I'll start with you, Dan.
Yeah, thanks for the intro. And really specifically what I do now is I'm very much in the space of helping other personal trainers at the start of their journey into the online space. So I've got a mentorship program. There's about just over 50 active clients in there right now. And anything from fit pros, such as health professionals, some chiropractors, PTs, some fitness coaches who are fully online, some want to go partly online. Kind of like my own journey. I was in person for about just over a decade, and then I took my business fully online in 2019, pre-COVID. So luckily I was ahead of the curve, and then I've been fully online ever since. But naturally, you guys probably hear this all the time. First they ask why, then they ask how. So I had a lot of people at first being, "You're crazy taking it online, what are you doing?" And then naturally, as we have some success, people start asking, what is it that you do and how do you do it? And can you help me? So I spend the majority of my time now mentoring. I still do have an active fitness business. And I grew that to, we had over 100 active clients at one point. I think I said earlier, I put about 1,000 people through my PT Hub. So there's not much I haven't experienced, the good, bad, and the ugly of the online coaching space, plus the decade in the gym as well, the grind of that as well. So yeah, hopefully we can bring some cool insights to this conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for being here, Dan. And Joseph, we were talking offline, you're down in Texas and Austin. Tell the people a little bit about you and how you got started.
Yeah, so Joseph Gondolo, I'm owner and founder of Facts Over Fads Nutrition. We started out actually as Take Charge Nutrition and Fitness, and we changed our name because kind of nutrition took off in our world. Kind of like Dan, I've been in the fitness space for over a decade. I started out at a Gold's Gym as an in-person trainer and a fitness manager, and I kind of pivoted into the entrepreneurial world and started doing my own things and doing my own one-on-one clients, which ultimately led to there's only so many hours in a day. So I looked to leverage a virtual platform so I could maximize my potential and maximize my impact with clients. So I stumbled upon my PT Hub. I did a 30-day free trial, and kind of the rest is history. We've put about 2,000 clients through my PT Hub. Right now I have 4 coaches and a personal assistant that work for me. And much like Dan as well, I'm tapping into the mentorship through another company I started called Unconquerable, which is a mentorship program pushing coaches to my PT Hub, setting up their accounts, helping them build packages and programs to just deliver a better service to whoever their clients are.
Awesome. Awesome. Guys, that's great. And Dan and really Joseph, I can relate to both of you guys. I've never actually run a fitness studio, but I have been on the business side and run health clubs in Chicago for a very, very long time prior to starting the FBA and everything. And it's so funny too, because we used to have our conference in person, and we were actually 6 weeks before doing our second conference in 2020 when the pandemic hit, moved everything online. As you guys heard me say in the beginning, we now have a Succeed family of virtual conferences, and we haven't looked back. So a lot of what we do, we like to say too, we're really meeting the industry where it is now instead of going back to where it was prior to the pandemic. And so I think both of you guys have a very unique perspective to bring to today's conversation. So thank you for being here. Let's jump into it. Joseph, I'm going to start with you. Think back almost a decade ago when you first started in the industry, and a lot of people that are in our ecosystem that watch these are first starting out. What were the types of problems that you encountered when first starting out? And I know from firsthand knowledge, you've got the split schedule. You're trying to take any client that you can find. You're walking the fitness floor. What were the types of clients you were looking for? Were the problems you were trying to solve? And ultimately, how did you get from that very difficult, hey, I'm certified, I'm on the fitness floor, what the heck do I do from here? And how did you make it work?
Yeah, I tell everyone, any coach that I talk to, when you're a new trainer starting out, you don't have a niche, right? It's like you want to be in front of as many people as possible. You want to train as many people as possible to kind of find your niche, right? Everyone's passionate about fitness some way, somehow, but you never really know who you're going to click with the best until you're in front of them, right? And so if you're new and you're starting out, I would say get in front of as many people as possible, load up your schedule as much as possible to just gain that experience and that knowledge of dealing with people, and then you kind of let the rest do its thing with who you connect with, who keeps coming back. And so I would say, in order for you to kind of become an expert in your field, you have to figure out what you're not good at. Like I have a lot of coaches who work with athletes, like youth athletes. I'm not good with the youth, right? I just can't connect with them, and that's an acceptance that I have to kind of accept and put beside me, right? And say, hey, I got to really work on my niche and my people who I can connect with the best, which happens to be like middle-aged adults. And so we stay there. And once you kind of figure out that, hey, spending 8 to 10 hours a day in the gym is really difficult and really stressful and really tiresome, that's when you start to leverage like an online platform or an app of sorts so you can impact more lives and you can kind of free up some of your schedule as well.
Yeah, Dan, why don't you piggyback on that, because you've been there and you've been successful going virtually. But when you were first starting out, when you had your brick and mortar, what was it kind of the same feeling, or did you have a different experience?
No, I think it's in the gym. One of the biggest mistakes I see personal trainers making is, misunderstanding the element that we've just mentioned here with Joseph about needing a niche or a niche, depending where you are in the world. And online, I get it. You want to specialize because specialists get paid the most money. They get the best respect. People that pay the most attention. So the guys that you work with get better results. It's win-win for everyone, right? Whereas in the gym, there is often this misunderstanding. And one of the things I often say to my guys in the gym is that they can get so obsessed in the small things that they overlook the big stuff, such as just getting into conversation with people. They're so scared of coming across salesy that they don't actually end up selling to anyone and they don't end up helping anyone. And we all know personally, we'll know loads of personal trainers that came in and out of the industry, unfortunately, because they can never get into the business side of things, because you do your level 3 PT course here in the UK and whatever qualifications you do wherever you are in the world to get qualified, but they don't teach you that sort of stuff. And I think that it's the communication skills is often the issue. It's not wanting to interrupt someone's workout or not wanting to come across a certain way. And if you do that too much, you don't end up helping anyone. And the thing is that if you can shift it from selling to serving and focus on actually seeing it as a disservice by not having those conversations with people, I think that can change people's mindset into focusing actually, if I want to change someone's life, is that going to happen just from a few conversations in the gym or in the changing rooms? Or are the real results going to come when they join my program? And if that means exchanging money and that's the exchange of value, then welcome to the world of entrepreneurship. And that's just the way it works. But you can literally change someone's life. You can maybe even save someone's life. We've all done it as coaches. And then when you look at what you're actually charging people, you could argue that it's massively undercharged for the things you can do. So I think one of the biggest problems to sum up would be that fear of coming across salesy. And that's just not the case. If you're good at what you do and you back yourself and you deliver, then sell with conviction and get paid fairly for what you do. And I think that's the beautiful thing about PT. When done right, it's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. And there it's a confidence as well to make sure that you can sit across from somebody, you can sell them the services that they need, and ultimately have that mind shift change in them to understand that you're the one that they want to start working with. Joseph, you had something that you mentioned I want to circle back to. You had mentioned, when you first start out, get in front of as many people as possible, as you said. Was there anything that you did strategically when you were working at Gold's Gym that allowed you that opportunity? I know sometimes people, one of the things, the strategies that I know a lot of people do is they'll take a group exercise class, whether it's a Zumba class, it doesn't matter. If you're the only guy in there, that's okay. But you automatically have access to, 30, 40 people, and you have the instructor introduce you and tell them what you're specializing in. Was there anything that you did along those lines or something else that was able to kind of get you in front of more people than maybe others would be doing at the same time?
Yeah, so luckily I had a really great fitness manager who made us clean the gym all the time. And so we were out and about cleaning the gym, re-racking weights, wiping down equipment. And that was the best way to start triggering conversations. And it could be as simple as, hey, are you using this piece of equipment, just to make sure I don't clean it when someone's using it, right? And so starting there and then working my way towards the front desk. I literally just started hanging out with the front desk people and checking people into the gym and seeing how they're doing and saying goodbyes. And as you gain confidence in that realm and people start to notice you every single day, you're at the front desk, you're cleaning the gym, you're doing all the things around it, people start to talk to you more, and you also get more confident to talk to those people. And so it's very, I remember, so I have a military background. I have zero, experience in sales, zero experience in personal training. And so coming to Gold's Gym was very new and very foreign. And so I knew that I had to kind of throw myself in the trenches, so to speak, to get good at it. And so that's what I did. I kind of just made myself available in the gym, and my fitness manager did a really great job of pushing me and motivating me and putting me in the right spots to just talk to more people. And then outside of that, I started offering just free advice, right? So whether it was critiquing like form or saying, hey, have you tried this exercise, or giving out free sessions, I was already in the gym already, kind of working for minimum wage on we would call them floor hours here in the United States. And so you get paid like $9 an hour essentially to like clean the gym, talk to people, so on and so forth. So why not train someone and do something that I'm passionate about during that $9 session to hopefully upsell, right, and hopefully service. And that's kind of how it all got started. Was I trained a lot of people for free. And I'll tell all my coaches this, like, I had to get confidence, I had to get experience, and I had to be able to kind of sell myself through my product, which was training. And then therefore people would kind of have that exchange of value, of money. So that's kind of how it all got started. Getting in front of as many people as possible, however best see fit. I'm actually not a big fan of group fitness, so I never stepped into a group fitness class. And so it wasn't my world. I felt like it just didn't connect or fit in. So I stuck to the gym floor, and I stuck to the front desk, and that's kind of how we did it.
Circling over to you, what are you seeing from that perspective based off of what Joseph said? That's very common for somebody just starting out, as far as having to give things away for free. And you have to pretty much be available all the time. I mean, I remember, my gosh, our new trainers would have to open up their schedules at the worst possible times sometimes, and they're taking clients all over the place just to start to build a clientele of people. And so what would you say, Dan, is the positive or negative to that? Or is it something that is still happening that you would recommend as far as giving away services for free?
Yeah, I think that nowadays, unfortunately, there's a lot of people who can be quite entitled, and they think that they see the overnight millionaires on Instagram and TikTok, and they want that. And I think there's also an element, without sounding old, of some of the younger guys potentially listening here, thinking that, oh, if all else fails, I'll just become a fitness influencer, or I'll just go and start like an Amazon business, or I'll just go trade Forex. And not to burst the bubble, but there's a small percent of people out there actually crushing it. You're seeing the highlight reel. So how that relates to what you've just asked me is that sometimes it's like not being willing to do the grind of what we just said, that, myself and Joseph and a lot of the personal trainers that have got the right idea would be willing to put in the hours in the beginning. And I think that it's understanding that if you're saying your capacity is 25 hours a week, and currently you have 2 paying clients, well, what the hell are you doing for the other 23 hours if it isn't booking tasters? Because the only 2 ways, really, like the 2 things you should focus on as an in-person PT is booking tasters and closing tasters. That's it. Like, if you book more tasters than you did the week before, if your conversion rate increases over time, eventually it's just, by definition, logically speaking, you will get fully booked eventually. But the important part there is knowing what that number is. What does fully booked mean for you? If you're listening to this and you're a new PT and you've got 3 kids and a family and you travel, maybe your capacity isn't going to be 40 hours a week. Maybe it's only going to be 15, and you want to allow some time to explore online or more time with your friends and family. But you need to know what that number is. Then look at where you are currently, and then be willing to free up that time for PT. And then just keep filling the gap. Once you get to 10 hours, what are you doing with the other 15? You get to 20 hours, what you're doing the last 5. And until you're fully booked, then and only then could you maybe start to look at, okay, maybe now I don't focus so much on lead generation. Maybe it's more client retention. Maybe I add a new income stream. Maybe I go online. But yeah, it can just sometimes be that entitlement that, hey, I've signed up. They walk in the gym. I see the PTs in my gym at the gym desk like this, wondering why they're not getting clients, looking at their phone, trying to convert strangers on the internet, letting people walk past them that quite clearly need their help. So a bit of a rant, but I hope that helps.
No, the rants mean you're passionate. You know what I mean? I
Yes.
mean, it's one of those things, and you're exactly right. I mean, it's been more than a decade since I managed clubs, but my goodness, the same thing holds true. I mean, how are you holding yourself to, the competition around you, and secret shopper competition too, if you're a studio or a gym owner out there, to see what's the experience like when you walk in the doors with somebody who's around the corner from you? Or do you have, a 20-something-year-old on their phone at the front desk go, okay, that's where I can differentiate myself from a service perspective. But my gosh, we can go down that rabbit hole for a long, long time.
Well,
But
just quickly on that though, I always use the busy restaurant example. So when you
yeah,
go on holiday and you see an empty restaurant and like it's dead, and you question why is it so quiet, and you'd much rather queue up for the busy restaurant because it usually screams premium value, it must be good. So if you're that PT that's constantly available, it doesn't look premium, it doesn't look like you're in high demand. Even just doing free tasters, people don't know if they're paying you or they're not paying you. So if they join the gym today and you join the gym the day before, but they see you training people, they don't know if they might have been your clients for the past 10 years. So I just think it's that thing of how quickly can you look busy. So I might say to my guys, get your friends and family in, like get your mates in, pull some favors, ask around, get people in. And the quicker you can look busy, the better you can play that game. And then again, as you actually get busy with paying clients, you can take a step back.
well, and that's a perfect transition into my next question, which, Joseph, I'll start with you. How has your business evolved over time? How did you go from what we talked about before, just starting out, to starting your own business? I mean, that's a huge leap in time, I'm sure. But what was it that ultimately got you to really springboard to become the in-demand trainer, whether it's at Gold's, and then I'll ask you a two-parter. What was it that got you to become that in-demand trainer at Gold's? And then what was the defining moment when you ultimately said, you know what? I want to do this thing on my own, and started your own business? Because that's a huge leap that a lot of people want to do, especially, you guys know, in the fitness industry, you can only work sometimes so long in a big box club, and ultimately you're creative people. You want to go out and do your own thing. And so what were those two things that happened with you that got you successful goals, and then ultimately was the deciding point where you said, I want to go start something on my own?
Yeah, I think Daniel said it perfectly with I looked busy. I was always with people, in front of people, talking to people. Back in, this was 2014, cell phones weren't as prominent, right? So we weren't addicted to social media, I don't think, back then. So it was easier to be in front of people. You were like forced to conversate, right? And you were forced to be present, where now we can kind of hide out on our phone. Like, I mean, I walk into Gold Gym still today, or Crunch Fitness still today, and everyone's on their phone. The front desk people barely look up to greet you when you walk in. And it's just like, QR scanners on the counter. You walk in, you beat the QR scanner, and no one even talks to you. And that just wasn't a thing back in the day. And I think we still value it as human culture. Like, we like to be present with other people. We like to feel welcomed and greeted. And so, again, that's kind of how my business took off with Gold's Gym. And then, again, Gold's Gym likes to promote successful trainers. And so very quickly, I was only a trainer for about 6 months before I was promoted to a fitness manager. And then therefore I was promoted again. I actually opened up 2 Gold's Gyms in San Antonio, Texas. And so after that second promotion to be a fitness manager and start opening up clubs and managing clubs, I actually didn't get to train as much, which I realized that was my passion. And so I was doing paperwork and I was doing charts and stuff like that. And so that was kind of the brink of me to be like, you know what, I probably should step away. I want to go back and get clients, but I don't want to like lose income. So how do I do? So I don't want to step down at Gold's Gym. I would rather just kind of step away and hopefully grow my income. And that's what I did. And so the peak of my career from an in-person standpoint was 2017, 2018, which was when I transitioned online, and I was doing 30 to 40 hours of one-on-one clients on top of like 10 hours a week of group fitness classes. So boot camp style classes that I was putting on. And at that point in time, clients would come see you twice a week, 3 times a week, but what would they do on their days off? So that's when I started to leverage my PT Hub. And I was like, well, let me see if there's an app out there that I can kind of send you workouts that I can kind of communicate with. And lo and behold, my PT Hub comes around. And, back in 2017, it wasn't what it is today. So I always tell people, like, back then it was bare bones essentially, but we made it work. And that's when I was tapped into nutrition, because I had a nutrition section of the app. But I was able to deliver my clients workouts on the days that they didn't see me. we were able to communicate in the app. We were able to do meal plans in the app. We were able to do progress photos and weigh-ins in the app. And now you can do so much more. And so that was kind of the brink. I was so busy when I stepped away from Gold's Gym doing 60 hours a week in front of people. That's not writing workouts on my own time. That's not lead generation. That's not nurturing. That's not anything. It was just 60 hours of just grinding essentially. So my work weeks really looked like 70 to 80 hours. And I was like, I can't maintain this forever. So I started to leverage my PT Hub, and I slowly just started to back off of one-on-one clients as the nutrition and the online stuff grew. And now I'm 100% online all through my PT Hub.
Awesome. Awesome. That's great. That's really interesting insight. Dan, what about you? You know, you've taken a different approach from really being in the thick of it, in the trenches, and now, you know, having your own business and online business and stuff like that. What were the defining moments for you, and how did you go from starting out and getting busy to ultimately deciding, hey, you know, I've got a passion for something else, and making that shift?
I think for me was coming up to the time that I was looking at becoming a dad and having kids and having clients who had kids and always telling me when they worked their 9 to 5 or they were out early or maybe they were shift workers and they weren't able to be present, right? So when it kind of came to the point that I was like, now's time to go all in on the online business, was because I just hit a ceiling. And probably like all of us here, you know, as entrepreneurs through and through, we don't like ceilings, right? We want scalability. And in the gym, eventually there will come a point, and everyone gets there at some point, where you have to question, I can't just keep charging more money. I can't just keep doing more hours. Where's the scalability here? Back in the day, you wouldn't have had the option to go online. It really would have been that is it, you know? And for some people, look, online isn't for everyone, but it definitely was for me. And I started to build my following on Instagram in 2013. So over, 10 years ago now. And yeah, I started to build up my online clients. It got to a point that I was about 50-50 online, in person, like income was kind of matching. And it just got to that point where I kind of had to burn the boats. And I know it's not for everyone, and I don't always recommend to everyone to do this. But for me, knowing me, I needed to have that element of burning the boats, walking away from the PT and the gym floor, taking things online, and then allowing me to build the life that I have now. And I'm able to spend more time with my son, who's now 2.5. My wife, Ellie, is now in the business. And for me, yeah, it was just very much that next evolution, the ability to scale. For some people, it's to open a gym. That was never an interest to me, still isn't to this day. And I like creating content. I like being online. I like being able to do things like this and connecting with people from all over the world. So yeah, for me, it felt like a natural evolution, and lucky it came at a good time. And obviously I haven't looked back ever since.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. For us, I mean, our business was very much in person for a long time as an association. And then the pandemic hits, everything shifts online, and we realize, wow, we can cast a much wider net online through our marketing partners and through social media to get thousands upon thousands of people to our virtual conferences and to the association that in an in-person conference you could never do. You just couldn't. And the time savings and the convenience factor is just second to none. Dan, I did want to ask you one thing, and this is something that comes up often. From a pricing perspective, a lot of times people think that if I do something virtually, if I train virtually, that ultimately and I'm speaking from your perspective, like a trainer or a coach that's training people online, they might think that because they're not right there, meaning physically with the client, that they have to maybe discount the service a little bit from a pricing perspective. And I wanted to hear your thoughts on that, because one of the analogies I've heard is it doesn't matter. Think about it from a restaurant perspective, where if you go into a restaurant, you're still going to pay a certain price, to eat that food. If you order that food in through a delivery service or whatever it may be, you're still paying the same price. You know what I mean? It's just the convenience is it gets delivered right to you. And so I wanted to hear your thoughts on that, because that's something that comes up often. And you guys, I'll ask both of you too, because you're in this space. How has that worked for you, and how have you been able to price yourself so that people understand that the service and the experience they're going to get through you is still top notch?
I think that I've always made it clear that, much like you said, they're paying for the outcome. They're not paying for the way they get there. So some people might prefer to fly, drive, train, like different routes to get to the same destination, right? And I think it comes down to also maybe personal preference as well. But ultimately, if the outcome's the same, I could say, hey, I could stand next to you in the gym 3 days a week for the next 12 weeks, and you're going to lose 10, 15 kilos. or you could do my online program and I'll check in with you Monday to Friday, you know, in the DMs or through my PT hub and do your nutrition. But in 12 weeks time, that the results are the same. It might just then come down to personal preference. But if the outcome is the same, I can't understand why you would charge any less. That being said, obviously, where I think most PTs go wrong, especially when they add like an online element, maybe they add a My PT Hub or they go online, is that often their prices that they should be charging online then start to conflict with what they're charging in the gym, because it actually ends up being more. They could actually make more money online than they can in the gym. They then have this kind of uncomfortable situation they have to deal with, where they have to question, you either have to increase your price in the gym because your physical time should be worth more, right, than what they charge online. That being said, if the outcome is the same, I think it often comes down to personal preference. For some people, maybe a bit old school, they might need to see someone in person. But I'm sure Joseph's the same. I took my business online, and for some clients, I was getting better results with them online than I was in the gym. And then it made me really realize that actually it isn't anything to do with the way it's delivered. It's actually just about the outcome that is achieved. And for some people, they get better results. I had some in-person clients that I was with for a couple of years, kind of went through the motions. You know how it goes with some guys. Took them online, and their results increased like tenfold, you know. And I thought, what's this all about? And then that was a big shift for me. So I would say that what you charge has nothing to do with you, me, any of us, what we think we're worth. It's what the outcome is worth and what it's worth to them. So again, back to what I said at the start, if you could change someone's life, you could save someone's life, you could add 5 years onto their life, they could meet their future partner, they could get a promotion, you could add 15 grand onto their end of year bonus for some of these guys working in the city, right? What's that worth? You know, is it worth more than personal training? So look, I think for anyone here listening who's kind of struggling with what to charge, just remember it's got nothing to do with you. It's not about your self-worth, what you think you're worth. It's about the outcome you can get for your client. And then let the client decide. Let them decide, like if they think it's worth it. You know, if you back yourself, if you can get results, you think you're fairly priced, you charge what you want to charge. It's up to them to decide if they want to pay it. I hear some coaches that charge 5-10 times more than I do or have done at times. And if people want to pay it, that's up to them. You know, sometimes people that pay the most attention anyway.
True. No, great answer. Joseph, what about you?
Yeah, I kind of second that. You know, going online, no one questioned the price point to in person, and no one questioned like the virtual experience versus an in-person experience either. They kind of know what they're signing up for when they go either route, right? They know they're going to go in person, they know they're going to go virtual. So it doesn't really, there's never this pricing argument like that's too expensive, I'm not even singing you. And then also going online, you can actually deliver a lot more value. Having the resources and having tools and having the ability to upload files, or having the ability to chat 24/7, or having the ability to kind of just look at everything your clients are logging. And then to kind of Daniel's point as well, is a lot of people, when they do get online and they get more structure and they get kind of a daily plan and habits and routines and nutrition plans and communication, they kind of their results skyrocket. And so therefore they really don't question the price because their results are there. We have, of course we all have clients who cancel. And when we have clients who cancel with us, it's always, are you canceling because you're not seeing results, or are you canceling because you're just simply not doing the things we're asking you to do? And mostly it's because they're not doing the things we're asking them to do. So how do we as coaches create an easier option, a better option, a more convenient option for our busy clients or troubled clients to see more success and see more value at the same price point? So we started doing like 30-minute consultations with those troubled clients. I'm like, hey, well, let's jump on a face-to-face Zoom call, just one-on-one, you and me, and let me deliver you a better option or a better value package at the same price, so that now you do value and you don't want to cancel because you don't think you're wasting money. And so let's deliver more value. Let's get you more results. Let's help you feel more at ease or stress-free. And a lot of times, if you have a successful client, to Daniel's point, is like they're going to get more confident, they're going to get more proactive, and they could go get a raise, they could go get a promotion, they could go get their new partner and their spouse. And what's that worth to them? It's priceless. And so whether that's in person or online, I don't think the price kind of matters. I think it's the values that you give and the results that you deliver.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Guys, let's shift a little bit, talk about some key tips to really finding the right niche and leveraging technology too. We've talked a lot about going online and things like that. And there might be a lot of people that are taking this in and kind of in the very exact same boat as you guys. They're looking for more flexibility. They're looking to be maybe around their family more. It's very common in today's day and age. Dan, you talked about it earlier where it's like, you see the people online who look like this overnight success, yet all of us know when you're in the trenches as an entrepreneur, you can very well be a 12-year overnight success, right? I mean, you don't see all the hard work that happens behind the scenes. You just all of a sudden see all the, the glitz and the glamour that some people like to put out. But, when we talk about some tips that you can leverage, how do you leverage technology and how do you leverage social media, whether it is to find the right niche, as we talked about earlier, or that just allows you to kind of streamline your focus and specialize in something that people are going to be attracted to. I think that's the biggest thing, because there's a lot of noise out there. There's YouTube where you can go and find videos for free, but ultimately, what are some tips that you can give people out there that are looking to find the right niche and to leverage technology to kind of, again, springboard themselves to become known a little bit more in their circles? And I think you guys hit, Daniel, I think it was you that talked about it earlier, or maybe Joseph, I forget, was talking about referrals and bringing people in. And, that's the great thing you can do with any fitness business, even being online, is casting that much wider net to find success. But there's so much technology and there's so many tools out there. If you guys just wouldn't mind sharing some tips. Joseph, I'll start with you as far as how you've been able to grow online.
Yeah, I tell this to everyone, we're about 98% growth through referrals. So we track every client where they come from. So I have, 1,600 followers on Instagram, a couple thousand on Facebook, a couple hundred on TikTok. I'm not huge on social media, so most of our business comes from referrals. And again, we have about 300 active clients right now. We've gone through about 2,000 over the last couple of years. And it's through referrals. And so that's kind of how I found my niche. Is I was like, well, who's seeing success on the platform? And then who's referring who? And again, we just middle-aged, somewhere between 30 and 50-year-olds, largely dominantly female. And so that's our niche. But it didn't start out that way. It kind of started out as anyone and everyone come on in. And then let's just see who's the most successful, who's the most receptive of what we're doing and how we're coaching people, and then who are they bringing us. And so that referral network is huge. And we obviously have like a referral discount, a referral promo as well. So that helps a little bit, but the niche kind of found us. And we did it through kind of opening our doors of saying, hey, we'll help anyone that wants to come, but who's a large population that's coming in over and over and over again. It's kind of middle-aged females. And then so that's kind of how we market and how we target now.
Interesting. Daniel, what about you?
I think that if in doubt, anyone listening, I'll make it really easy for you. Just speak to who you were 5-10 years ago. Like, easy. So if you were the skinny guy like me and you put on muscle and it improved your life, then just be the skinny guy that helps, people that help skinny guys, right? If you were heavily overweight and you're a female that's lost like 30, 40, 50 pounds, had a crazy transformation, why not be the lady that helps other women do the same thing? Like, the reason why that's so easy, and for anyone listening that's been bugging out about, I could niche with this, I could niche with that, I get it. But who can you speak most authentically about? Yourself, right? The experiences you've been in. So whether it's an athlete that got dropped from the team and then went and found CrossFit, well, maybe you're the guy that helps other athletes that got dropped for the team and thought they were going to make the NFL or the NBA, and now I just think that connection-based content is one of the most powerful tools. There's 3 types of content that I teach to my guys, and it's connection, proof, and value. And that connection piece is that bit of me showing that I'm a dad, my struggles with, if it's a bad night's sleep, or if my son's sick, it makes me sick, and talking about that authentically in my content. Like, nothing's going to hit differently. And when it comes to leveraging systems and software and social media online, if you're going to write a landing page, like a sales letter, or create a video, like, how passionate, how much more compelling can you get if you've been in the shoes that the other person has? That being said, like, I've helped women before. I've helped people that work 9 to 5. I've been self-employed since I was 20 years old. I don't even know that life. Of course I can help them. But my kind of core people that I can really help more than anyone is the guys that have been in my shoes. I've had my struggles with anxiety and mental health, and I share that. And in that naturally, I attract people that struggle with that. But who better than to work with them is going to be someone like myself, because I've been there and done the thing. Hence why now Joseph and we're now mentoring other coaches, maybe other personal trainers, because we've been in their shoes. So yeah, I could help a restaurant owner grow his business or someone else, but who do I know better than personal training businesses? Because I've done the thing. So if in doubt, guys, just start creating content for who you were 5 to 10 years ago. That's the easy fix from my side.
Oh, I love that. It's the relatability factor is ultimately what it is, and I think you said it perfectly. It's being able to connect with somebody who is probably going through the same thing as you. So, Daniel, you've got a 2.5-year-old. I've got a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 3-month. So lack of sleep, I think you and I both are kind of in the same boat with. So I can understand.
I think as well, just on that, it's like, then you don't even have to create content because you are the content, right? Maybe the guy should write this down. There's 2 types of content I see. There's how to and there's how I. And content just hits differently, in my opinion, when you say, I could say, here's how to lose 20 kilos in the next 6 months. Or I could say, here's how I lost 20 kilos in the last 6 months. And it hits differently, right? Because look at the world of social media and the Kardashians and The Rock and the David Beckham documentary. People buy from people. They don't buy coaching, they buy coaches. So you've got to understand that if that is the case, you are the personal brand. And that's why we know of Elon Musk and Steve Jobs and these guys, Tony Robbins, because you might even be able to say Tony Robbins' business name, but you know who he is, right? So I think it's just important to remember that it's important to keep that personal brand in there somewhere if you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, as we look to kind of wrap things up here, I wanted to ask you each just one parting question. And then, of course, where can people find out more about you as well? But before that, when you're in the industry, and the fitness industry is difficult, I mean, you're really a lot of times at the mercy of your own clients and finding new clients. And so it ebbs and flows. And as an entrepreneur, and even if you're a fitness professional that's working within the 4 walls of a 24-hour fitness or a Gold's Gym like Joseph did, it's challenging. You are your own business. I mean, you are your own personal brand no matter what. And you might be struggling, and that's okay. And so Joseph and Daniel, I want to ask you guys each, what did you do during those I'll call them dark times, when you were kind of looking at yourself being like, is this the right path? And as entrepreneurs, we have all faced that. And we face that all the time, even though we've been doing this for years and years and years, there's always difficult times. I mean, the market, the economic climate, is there a recession? Oh my gosh, it's my client, and there's always external factors that you can't control. But Joseph, what have you done to be able to kind of drown out the noise, to be able to kind of pursue and continue on? Because it happens in all different types of life environments, no matter where you are in your journey as a fitness professional. I just want to see if you have some advice to share on what people can do to kind of right the ship, if you will.
Yeah, I think one of my strongest foundations is stay true to who you are. I see a lot of coaches jumping from company to product. Like, if it doesn't align with who you are and what your passion is, like, you're probably never going to be successful. So I would say stay grounded, stay true to who you are, stay true to your passion and who you want to help the most. And then second, ask for help. I've asked for a lot of help along the ways from mentors. I've brought people who are way more successful to me closer to me so that I could just learn what they're doing. And I stopped hanging out with people who weren't successful or who were making those excuses, because the coaching world, especially, in Gold's Gym or any company that you're a part of, it's really small. Like, everyone kind of knows everyone. And so the people who are kind of always kind of complaining and making excuses and not being successful, I try to separate myself from them, and I try to flock towards the people who are grinding every day, hustling every day, trying to do everything in their power to be successful, and then learn from the best. And so luckily, I've had a lot of great leaders in my life, and I've invested a lot of money in mentorships to bring new perspectives and to help me grow as a person and as an entrepreneur, and now a business owner that employs 6 or 7 other coaches. And so I have to stay on top of my game by learning through the Tony Robbins and the Elon Musks and all that. And so I try to do a lot of self-reflection. I try to do a lot of audiobooks. I try to do a lot of seminars. I try to do a lot of all these things, because we only know what we know until someone else brings other things to our attention. And that's so positive from a mentorship standpoint. And so probably, the same reason why Daniel and I are doing what we're doing today is coaches probably don't know, I'm learning things from Daniel right now that I've never heard of. And I'm like, I'm gonna go use that right as soon as we get off of here. And so that's the power of connection. And that's the power of being humble enough to realize you don't have all the answers, and other people can add value to your business. So I would say stay true to who you are. Don't be afraid to ask for help, invest in yourself and invest in mentorships, and just continue to be open-minded and grow.
No, I love that. Yeah, it's the old adage, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room, right?
In the wrong room. Love that.
Yeah. Daniel, what about you?
Yeah, I think there's three types of people to hang around with. There's people that are below you, and not in a patronizing way, but people that you can teach on to. So maybe that's where, some of the guys who might be struggling right now, I know when I've been in that position, just coaching people and having some gratitude for the fact that I do know what I'm talking about. And, you go and learn a thing and then you go and teach a thing. That's the best way to retain a thing. The second type of person for me is peers. So having that peer accountability and that peer support. So much like Joseph, I spent thousands on my own mentorship. I'm in a mentorship right now. I'll probably be in some form of mentorship forever. Like I'm a massive advocate. I'm a big fan of kind of practicing what you preach. I sell business coaching. I have a business coach. I sell fitness coaching. I have my own fitness coach. And I think I see it amongst the guys and girls in my program, right? We have a group, and all the guys and girls are in there. They share their wins, they share their losses, they share their struggles. And that second type of person is just having people on the same level as you. So I would say, as a quick, like something people could do right now listening to this, fire up a WhatsApp group or a Telegram group or a message chat with 5 or 10 of your best friends who are in the fitness space, and hold each other accountable. Create your own little mini mastermind. I used to do that right before I got into masterminds, like paid ones. I used to create little WhatsApp groups with my other peers to hold each other accountable. Say, what's your income goal this month? Like, what's your goal, your impact goal this month? How many clients you're trying to sign this month? And create your own little mini mastermind, and just ask people like, hey, do you want to meet up for a coffee once a month to talk about business? Or maybe a group of you could do that. That's something you could do straight away. And the final piece is people above you. So again, like Joseph said, mentors, coaches, like you said, yourself, Josh, I never want to be the smartest guy in the room. So just making sure you've got someone you look up to, especially when you're struggling as well, man. You want to speak to people that have been through the thing you want to be through. Like I could go and get a business coach generally, but the guy that coaches me has done the thing I want to do. And that for me is so powerful that I look up to him. When I'm struggling, if I've got questions, I go to him because I know he's done the thing I want to do. So I think, look, if you're trying to grow a massively successful business on your own, respectfully, you're an idiot. Why? Because success leaves clues. I do not know anyone that has built a massively successful business that hasn't invested in mentors somewhere along the lines. Like someone can try and show me, and you can DM me on Instagram at Fitness Business Coaching if you find someone. I don't know anyone, because mentors have mentors have mentors. It's just how it goes. So yeah, I think those three types of people, maybe do a quick audit of your current circle and see what's missing. And that might be the missing link for you right now.
Absolutely. Guys, with that being said, thank you so much for joining us today. I mean, you guys dropped a lot of knowledge. For those people watching this, you're probably going to want to replay it a few times and take some notes, because Joseph and Daniel were fantastic when it comes to just providing you with just some essential nuggets of insight that you can use and leverage into no matter where you are in your fitness career. And guys, before we jump off, I want to just ask you again, if people watching this wanted to find out more about you, where can they go? Daniel, I'll start with you.
So, yes. So at Fitness Business Coaching is my business page. And you can also follow me on my personal page on Instagram at Daniel Poulter. So Poulter. And I have a podcast. So it's called the Real Impact, Real Income podcast. I used to say impact over income. Now I kind of say impact and income. I don't think there's any one that's more important. I think like you should get paid really well for what you do, and you should go change loads of lives. I don't think one is, I don't want loads of broke personal trainers that are changing loads of lives. And likewise, I don't want people making loads of money, not getting results with their clients. So yeah, check out the podcast. Drop me a DM on Instagram if you have any questions. And those are probably the best places to find me.
Awesome. Joseph, what about you?
Yeah, we got Facts Over Fads Nutrition on pretty much any social media outlet, or Joseph Guandolo, Guandolo, on any social media platform. And then we're about to start a podcast as well. Season 1 is going to drop here shortly after Thanksgiving, called The Grind to Greatness, which is just an entrepreneur hustle, kind of get after it every day kind of podcast. And we're going to drop it in seasons. So you'll be able to binge watch 5, 6, 7 episodes at a time. And then we'll launch more seasons in the future.
Awesome. Love that name. I like that name. Grind to Greatness. That's good. That's good. Well, guys, on behalf of all of us here at the FBA, thank you so much for taking some time, a good 45 minutes or so out of your busy days. We really appreciate it. Huge thank you to My PT Hub for their sponsorship of this panel discussion. And again, like the guy said, you know where to find them. You know where to find us at fbafitness.com. Please check us out as well. If you have any questions about anything, you can drop some questions here in the chat, of course, on this webpage where it's going to be playing back. But again, thank you so much for joining us. Joseph, Daniel, thank you guys so much. Really appreciate it. And we will catch you all very, very soon. So take care, everyone. And thanks again for joining. We appreciate it. Bye-bye, everybody.